Let's talk about something that keeps coming up in conversations with business owners. Substack. And not in a you should be on every platform way, but in a very real, very strategic way. Because a lot of people are exhausted by social media right now. They're posting constantly, they're doing all the things, and they still feel like they don't actually own their audience. So today we're going to be breaking down what Substack really is, what it's good for, and whether it even makes sense for your business. Welcome to Rocky Mountain Marketing. I'm your host, Katie Brinkley. Join us as we dive deep with the world's leading digital marketing experts every single Tuesday. It's all about giving you the strategies that are working right now, directly from those who are making an impact. With my 20 years of experience, I'm here to help you navigate the world of digital marketing. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills or transform your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started on today's journey to success. Welcome back to Rocky Mountain Marketing. Today, I am joined by a good friend that honestly, I couldn't believe it. He hadn't been on the show. I got to see him just last week at the Unconference in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. And it actually was cooler in Florida than it was in Denver. But Denver's having a weird winter. But I got to hang out with him and we were talking and he said to me, he was like, well, I haven't been on the show. And I said, yes, you have, you silly goose. And he said, no, you've been on mine, but I haven't been on yours. And I said, we need to change that. And lo and behold, here we are. I just got off the plane yesterday and we're recording today because I had to bring this brilliant mind to you. He is a man of many talents, but what he is going to be talking about today is something that I think so many of us are sleeping on right now. Today, we are joined by none other than Jim Fuhs. He is a Marine Corps veteran turned digital marketing strategist. He is the president and COO of Fusion Marketing. He co-hosts Dealcasters live on Amazon. He brings a level of structure and discipline to marketing that a lot of business owners desperately need. Jim's not here just to hype Substack, though. He is here to explain how it fits or how it doesn't into a marketing strategy. So, Jim, thank you so much for joining me on Rocky Mountain Marketing today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And I know it is funny that I hadn't been on yet, but I hear so many great things about this show. And I actually got to spend some time in the Rocky Mountains over this past summer. My wife and I, one of her friends that lives in Colorado Springs, we actually went to Red Rocks and saw ZZ Top, and that was just amazing. Did a little bit of sightseeing, Garden of the Gods, Rocky Mountain National Park.
Well, you saw the whole, you went,
So
from
it was
south to north, yeah.
Yeah, so if anything, it said we got to go back.
It's a cool place to call home, Colorado. I'm definitely spoiled. And like you said, we've been connected for years now. I think we've both spoken at Jessica Sutter's amazing social media week, Lima. Like I said, we just got to hang out recently at the Unconference in Florida. We've been to Social Media Marketing World together, Podfest, podcast, movement. I mean, like you name it. I feel like our paths cross all the time. And I'm so glad that you are a Substack expert because you really dove into Substack over the past year. Right?
Yes.
The 2025, you went all in on it and really, I want to say, figured it out and how businesses can use it as part of their marketing strategy. And we were talking about it, in Florida, and you're like, so are you using it? And I said, yeah, yes and no, and then yes again. And then right now I'm on the no. So you've seen so many platforms come and go, and you've watched trends burn out. We all remember Clubhouse. I think that's maybe how we got connected originally. So I want to start really simply. Why did Substack get your attention?
Well, I will tell you, because as you know, especially with Dealcasters, initially I was on it. I actually, kind of like you're talking about, I've been on it for 3 years, but it was more like at first I thought it was more like Medium. And I had a friend's like, oh, I write every day. And I was like, I know I need to write, have my excuses for why I wasn't writing. So that was going to be my thing. It's like, I'll just write stuff. So I had even initially called my Substack Jim's Writing Journey because it was like, who knows what's going to come out of my keyboard, I guess we'd say, right? Because it wasn't the mouth yet. But then, I think a mutual friend of both of us, Ross Brand, just like he made me aware of the whole Amazon Live program and how to get into that and the influencer program, he had started to go use video on Substack. I was like, well, that's interesting. But it wasn't like you could just automatically get on it. I think they were like handpicking people, and I definitely didn't have the following at that time. But then probably about March or April, it's like they opened up this beta and you could apply to go live on Substack, and you could now start using tools like Ecamm and even Zoom or StreamYard to go live. So I was like, well, I'll just ask. And I had enough subscribers, I guess is the term we use for the people that actually follow your publication as opposed to followers or people that follow just you, your personal profile, and got on. So it's like, wow, this is great. Started playing with it, started creating content to show people how they could get on it. And I think the thing that is really, I guess, blown my mind is the growth that I've gotten on the platform over the last 8 months, the speaking opportunities that have arisen from it. But I think for me, it's the fact that not only can you go live, or you can even go use audio, create a podcast. So it's a multimodal platform. It's not just writing anymore. In fact, I don't know if you're familiar with Christopher Lochhead of the Category Pirates fame. They've been on there for a while, and they are all about creating new categories, and that's where you have opportunities. And so what Substack is a direct to creator platform. It's really the first of its kind, because even though we think of social media, it's not necessarily a direct connection. Like for us to connect on LinkedIn, you have to accept my connection. To, connect on Facebook, we have to become friends, and then there's a friends limit. And so they all have their kind of their idiosyncrasies, where on Substack, I can follow you. And if you follow me back, we at a minimum have now the ability to communicate, as Jessica Suter would say, in a dark web way, where we can direct message each other. Or you can say, you know what, this person's creepy. I'm blocking them and never want them in my feed again. So they do at least give us that protection as well. So that's kind of I guess, a roundabout way of how I ended up really falling in love with it. And I think the biggest reason for me is the fact that subscribers are even a bigger piece in that you get an email list. And that is something that the other platforms don't give you. And so now we've been told for years, right? The gold is the list, your email list. You can communicate with people. And as much as people say, well, what if Substack goes away tomorrow? You have the list. You can download that list and say, here's where I'm moving to, right? New address. But these are the people that they're subscribing and connecting with you because they want your content. They want to be a part of your community. And I think that's what's really been the thing that grabbed my attention. And because I knew I was guilty of not doing enough to grow a list, and it's been a fun way to do it.
Yeah, and I think that with Substack, one of the things that really I think a lot of people might not realize is they hear Substack and they think newsletter, but that's not the full picture anymore. It's really evolved. And you mentioned this, but I don't know if listeners really understand what Substack is anymore. So, I mean, you mentioned that you saw that Substack, you were like, oh, you could go live on it now and you could put your podcast on. So why don't we just talk about that a little bit more and explain all all the things that you can do with Substack right now? Because some people might still think of Substack as kind of like Medium, medium.com
Right. Right.
or a newsletter site. So let's really break down what Substack is.
Yeah, so it really is. I mean, you can still do that, but it's really to me become like a multimedia platform that when you create a publication, it is a website. So each publication has like its unique address, and the people that subscribe to it are only getting the post from that publication. That's your articles, your videos. And the other thing that Substack allows you to do is you can put links in your content and it doesn't get mad at people going somewhere else.
I don't have to put them in the comments and then I'll get dinged, you mean? Or
Right, right. And so you can embed, video and graphics and all those things within your writings if that's what you want to do. But I think one of the other powerful things that they added is, as much as we're always talking about repurposing, so even if you upload a video that you did on your iPhone or whatever into Substack in what we call, because it allows you to create what we call drafts, it will transcribe it. It will then also use their AI to say, hey, here's like 3 or 4 really good moments out of this video that we've now given you the clip, and you can go landscape or vertical. And oh, by the way, we've captioned it for you. And so you can then download it and share it anywhere, not just on Substack. So it really gives you that ability to, bring the audience from the other places over to I don't call it the dark side, but over to bright light called Substack. And so that to me was like, wow, that is really cool. And then even from the live video perspective, they continue to add how you can go live. You can go live from their app as simple as just using your phone and hitting, go live, and you can invite other Substackers to join that way. So you can have a, multi-person show, or you can use the third-party tools like, Ecamm and StreamYard. And you could probably actually use Riverside's live streaming function, because I know we're recording today on Riverside as well, because it's using RTMP as the connecting piece for Substack to your third-party tools. But even I think more interesting, which is what a lot of people have always struggled with, I can schedule my lives in Substack, and it will send that live, email out to my subscribers with a calendar invite that now is on their calendar. And so at, whatever time you chose to go live, since it's on their calendar, they can just click that calendar invite, and now they're watching you live. Or after the fact, it can, if you've created a post with it, they can go watch the replay. But the other thing is, you don't have to make that live become part of your quote unquote publication. It can be just like, I went live, it goes into my drafts. It's never going to see, as I kind of joke, the light of day again, other than I might do some clips to say, oh, I had a great time talking with Katie on Substack, and, here's a clip from it. But, sorry, you missed out when we were live, so you'll have to wait till next time. So you don't have to put the stuff on there. And I think that is really a fascinating piece. In fact, Mario Ponce from Shure and I, and we were sitting around at VidFest, and they had a booth, and I said, hey, how'd you like to go live on Substack? And we'll talk about what you guys are doing. And because it allows you in their app to do front or back camera during the live, like you're not stuck in, do I want to see my face or do you want to see the background? We did about a 12-minute interview, and like I said, had to go to the drafts. And then later we repurposed it on our Dealcasters Substack. And so people could watch the whole interview, but we had did a write-up that kind of summarized it with links to all the products we were talking about. So it really, gives you that ability to say, how do people want to consume my content? Because maybe they don't have time to watch an hour-long video, but they can read sometimes that hour-long video is a 10-minute summary and writing. So I think that's one of the things too that makes it different than all these other platforms. And you can also do a couple other things that people aren't aware of. They have what we call subscription tiers you can implement, where you can have free subscribers and paid subscribers. And so You can gate your content if you want to. People can pay, you can set up monthly, annually, you can have founding members, and you can give them additional benefits based on their level. But you can also still have the people that are subscribing for free that you just share stuff with. And then with your subscribers, you can create a thing called a chat, which is kind of like you could put it out however often you want. And it could be like, you know, what keeps you from, guesting on podcast? And then they can respond in the chat and all your subscribers see it. And so people can actually have a conversation inside of the chat, or you can reply directly in the chat thread about that topic. So I think that's where, now I don't have to create a group DM and I'm not limited by how many people can respond in that. So I think that's another really fascinating feature that I know I need to do more with because, maybe even it's like, what would you like to see more of? But then also even with the email list, you don't have to email only when you create new content. You could just say, I'm going to email everyone, and just ask a question. You can segment the list because they give you the from most engaged to least engaged. And so maybe say, okay, I'm going to, email all my most engaged people and thank them for their support. I may go to the ones that are least engaged and say, hey, what would you like to see more of that would make you read the publication? Because as we learned talking to our friend Liz Wilcox at the Unconference, if you got people that aren't participating as subscribers on your email list, she would actually say, get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get a better open rate because it's, like we talk about a lot is if you want to look at it from vanity metrics, is it more important to have an email list that people actually open or a giant list that nobody participates? And I think I know what you think the answer is as well to that. So that is like just some of the, many things you can do. And it's funny is I know a couple people because they are, you want to call it either camera shy or bandwidth challenges. They'll go live on Substack audio only because you can also turn your camera off and just talk, right? So then you can now turn that into a podcast, or there are podcasters that are creating a subscription tier inside of Substack where it's like, if you're a paid subscriber, you kind of get the after the show podcast piece that they're not going to release to the general public, where maybe you just have that conversation once the official podcast is over. So it really gives you a lot of creativity options. And so I think and even with the publication itself, you can add, you want to call it pages or tabs that are your other content sites. You could have Chris and I with our Dealcasters Substack. One of the pages is our pod page. So they can see all of our episodes that we've done because, it's like, well, we don't want to go back and recreate 5 years of content on Substack. Here's where we're starting and here's where you can kind of catch up with our old stuff. So it really, it truly is a create your own adventure sort of thing. And they keep adding new features. They keep adding amazing tools for really being able to measure how well things are doing. You see where your subscribers are coming from geographically, and then of course, you have your followers and you can see how did these people find out? Did they find out off Substack? Did they find out on Substack? Another big thing that's helped me a lot is they have what they call a recommendations engine. So if you have a Substack, Katie and I recommend it, my subscribers, when they're reading my publication, it kind of rotates as like, these are Substacks that Jim recommends. And so they click on it and they may then subscribe to you. And so I have one lady in particular that I subscribe to. I've gotten 135 new subscribers from her recommendation. So, and it's not like you have to ask permission. Like, will you recommend me? It's just, they make it so simple to do that. So it really, to me, right, it's just gives you so many options. And and they have a thing called a notes feed, which is like Twitter. So that's kind of the social aspect. So you can share pictures, text, photos, and there's not really a limit on how many, characters, because remember Twitter, I think was 240. But people can what they call restack, which is share to their network your note which your note could be, hey, here's the link to my latest article on my publication, and say why they're sharing it. And so now you're exposed to other people. Maybe you get new subscribers out of that. But it just makes it really easy. I feel like right now, not to say it won't change, it's like it's a pleasant place to hang out. And
Well, and it sounds to me, Jim, like it's a great hub
yes,
for your content. Like to have a Substack, it's your home base almost.
hmm
From there, if you have your Substack, you can use that for housing your newsletter, your podcast, your video, and then push things out to social media or what your community grows from there. Is that kind of right?
100% agree with you. And that's what I've seen. I've learned, following, friends like Tanya Smith. She's doing an amazing job with Substack. And that doesn't mean she's giving up her regular website or other stuff, right? It's part of her hub. And
Yeah.
so you're going to get some people here, but not everybody's going to come over. Not everybody's willing to download a new app or start something new. Or of course they'll say, well, what about Facebook? And so
Yeah.
for me, I even wrote an article about why Facebook group people should really think about going to Substack in school, because Substack gets your content out there. Maybe your group members will subscribe to you, even if it's free. But then school becomes your actual closed loop community where everybody kind of has that safe space to talk about the topic that you want to talk about. And you can also, do some monetization there, because to me, especially if you're in the video space, and definitely, with podcasters, Facebook is not your friend. If you're going live on video now on, Facebook, in 30 days, they're deleting it. And to go through all these extra steps to preserve your live video, is it really worth it? It's not organized to help you. And then when I spoke at Digital Wichita, literally the day before was the day that the AI bots crushed all these Facebook groups and people were in a panic because guess what? Sure, I'm in your group, Katie, but you didn't have my email
Yeah.
because it's not automatically something Facebook let you do. You had to, once again, workarounds. And I think for
So
me, you want to be easy, right?
yeah, and that's, me, I love social media, but it's rented land. So if someone's listening and they're like, "All right, you convinced me, Jim, I'll build my hub on Substack." How often does someone actually need to publish on Substack to see value? Are we going the
I
Austin
think,
Armstrong route where it's, 17 times a day, or is it, once a month? What are we talking about here? The
yeah,
biggest thing is consistency, right?
yes. I think you kind of hit on it. The consistency is really what you're comfortable with. But I think if you publish on your publication, say once a week, bi-weekly, that's fine. Maybe you start to think initially, like, what are the things I want to, have even a plan? Like, these are the first 6 things I'm going to publish. In a sense, my website has some stuff. But then the notes feed, that's really where a lot of people are growing their subscriber base and their following. That could be where, spend 10 minutes a day, going through the feed of other people, engage, right? It's all about engagement, right? And I think you are really good at that. It's like nobody necessarily cares about us. It's like they're looking for solutions to their problem. So if you come across like, wow, here's a guy writing about AI and here's a great solution on how to create, YouTube thumbnails. I'm going to share that because I know I have people in my community that they're trying to figure out how do I do thumbnails. So I think it's more about sharing and commenting as opposed to feeling like, oh, I've got to create all this content or I've got to create form video. I mean, because you can always take those short form content from your other platforms and put it on Substack in the notes feed. And they're not going to say, oh, well, wait, that was a TikTok. We
Yeah.
don't like it. So they're
Yeah.
not doing that. And I think that is another one of the big differences of where people run into the whole, well, if you share a TikTok on Instagram or an Instagram reel on TikTok, they don't like you.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about mistakes. What mistakes do you see people making when they first start?
It's that whole thing of well, I've been doing it for a month and I'm not seeing the growth. And so they're quitting. It's almost like they quit that day too soon. It's kind of like that joke about how, Colonel Sanders would go and knock on these doors and got all these no's. And if he had stopped, you know, it would never happen. So don't feel like you got to quit because you're not seeing instant result. It's going to take a little bit of time because what are you really offering people? And it's just like we talk about with like YouTube folks that, well, I've uploaded all these videos, but nobody's subscribing to me yet. But it's like, well, what else are you doing to be discovered? Right? Because the one thing Substack will do for you in the back end is provide you the tools to share your content on other platforms, whether it's a graphic with the title of your latest post and a link to it. But once again, as we know, you're going to be fighting the other platforms' algorithms about sharing links. So I think it's one of those things that you just got to be consistent about letting people know that you're on Substack and tell them why they should come over. And it's like, hey, I'm over here because it's a nice. The water's warm. It's nice. It's like being in Sarasota when it's 75 degrees. You're not seeing, if you want to call it, a cesspool of angry mobs. So I think that to me is what I like about it. And even for me, I don't know about you, Katie. I've kind of, and we've talked about this earlier too, is you don't need to be everywhere. So for me, it's Substack, YouTube, and LinkedIn, probably in that order. And more so because YouTube, you get discovered by search and Google owns it. But even with Substack, if, they are like, I'll say Google friendly, not even really having had Dealcasters on it that long. We're already showing up on our page 2 of our Google results. When you put Dealcasters in, for me as Jim Fuhs, it's showing up on page 1. And so when you look at it from a search perspective, you are getting found. And the fact that you can, share snippets and pieces to other places to drive traffic back to your Substack, I just think it makes it, for me, it makes it something like, okay, I'm seeing that it's worthwhile. But like we talked about, I was on it for 2 years, really wasn't doing anything. And, in fact, when I was looking at my dashboard yesterday, so my subscriber growth has gone up 600% in the last 8 months.
Nice.
And just by being, and not by posting daily, or creating content daily, but by just engaging and sharing others. And for me, what I like to do, and maybe it's just in my nature, is I like to highlight other people. Some of the stuff you've put out, right? Hey, like you want to learn the 4-post strategy, you should check out Katie's book. I mean, I don't necessarily get anything out of it, but I like, highlighting my friends because I think, when everyone succeeds, we all do better. I think, as a parent, as a former, coach and player in many sports, to me, I'm all about seeing other people succeed. That's what brings me joy. So that's how I kind of look at, hey, this is something that's really good. It's not about me. Let me share about this person's stuff. And then they say, like, wow, this person shared my stuff and there was no ulterior motive.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes, not everyone's like that. People are more selfish. Like, don't give away your secrets. It's like, there's no secrets. I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist. So, most of what we talk about, if you go search for it, you'll find somebody else talking about it. I think it's more about the voice, like you, as we've joked, right, at times. You and I could say the same exact thing. They'll think that Katie's brilliant and that Jim is dumb. And it's all in how you come across to people.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's all in the delivery. Well, Jim, this is awesome. I hope that this was extremely beneficial for the listeners today and it's given them a little bit of an insight into Substack because Substack is not about, I hope they realize it's not about writing more. We're not asking you all to become bloggers, we're asking you to be more intentional. It's about owning your audience. It's about building something that doesn't disappear when the algorithm changes, and creating content that actually supports your business. Jim, I can't thank you enough for being here. Where can people connect with you and learn more about you? Tell us where your Substack is. Where can we watch you and listen to your show? Tell us all the things.
Yeah. So Substack, it's pretty easy. jimfuhs.substack.com. We'll take you to my Substack. LinkedIn, I'm, Jim Fuhs. And then on YouTube, we have Dealcasters where you can catch all our past episodes. Or if you want to see our storefront on Amazon, you go to dealcasters.shop where we do all these tech reviews of amazing products that make you look and sound better in your digital journey. And then the other place, I have my Fusion Marketing YouTube channel where I'm actually starting to take some of these videos I created on Substack and I'm putting on YouTube to kind of teach you how to start attacking the video piece of Substack.
Yeah. And I think that with Substack, it's evolved so much and more than I even realized. And that's where, again, when we were talking just last week in Florida, I was like, man, I've been using it all wrong. And so I hope that today's episode and everyone listening, they ask yourself this: if your social media accounts went away tomorrow, how would you stay connected to the people that matter most? Well, that is it for today's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Again, Jim, thank you so much for being here and talking Substack, joining me. And with that, we will see you all on next week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Jim, thank you again.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. I hope you're leaving with valuable insights and the inspiration to lead your market. If you've enjoyed our time together and found today's podcast episode useful, I have a small favor to ask of you. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the latest episodes. And if you know someone who could benefit from these episodes, maybe a fellow business leader or an aspiring entrepreneur, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let's spread the knowledge and grow together. Also, I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation beyond the podcast. Visit me at katiebrinkley.com to connect, to find more resources, or just to share your journey. And be sure to pick up your copy of my new book, The Social Shift, at katiebrinkley.com/book. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Katie Brinkley, and I can't wait to dive into more strategies and stories with you on the next episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Let's keep on taking your marketing to new heights.